Hello, everybody, and welcome back to episode 20 of Read This Way. I am your host with the most, Brad, and this
Yeah.
is.
And I'm Logan with the least.
Oh man, I suppose that
I don't
does
know, you
make
just left me
sense.
in the lurch there. I mean, you just,
I don't know. I just started like rambling. I'm like,
yeah, that's right.
um, yeah, we're back for another episode of talking about manga and the current state of what is happening in the larger community. Um,
The large and wonderful world of both manga and
on
anime, of course.
so I guess to kick us off, I really just want to talk about edge runners because oh boy.
I could talk a little bit
um
about it now. Yeah,
yes, well, I want to
yeah.
get your
We'll
initial
see.
thoughts.
My
So
initial thoughts.
we'll keep it light on spoilers because like you've only watched the first two episodes, so
Yeah,
we'll talk about the first two episodes.
yeah, it's probably a good plan.
um
It's a good plan.
So, for people who don't know, it's an anime based on the video game and larger franchise of the cyberpunk universe, and it's done by Studio Trigger, who is done some of our like favorite
Let's
works.
let's let's just say it here and now. Trigger is probably our favorite studio.
Pretty
Between the
much,
two
yeah.
of us, we absolutely adore everything they touch. Their quality and the effort and love that they put into their animation is physically visible on the screen.
Yeah,
And for
it's
them to
super dynamic and just so much love and energy goes into everything.
yeah, and I got to admit, there's with Edge Runners, they've almost toned themselves down a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably their
On
most mature
oh yeah, by
product, I
far,
would say,
by far.
in terms of like everything, not just like the content, but like its themes and some of the things that it tackles are a bit spicy.
Oh, super spicy. I mean, the world of cyberpunk is, as everybody should know if they've ever been involved with, read about, played, or just spoken to someone about. It is a really nasty world.
Yeah,
It is
straight
the
dystopia.
underbelly. Yeah, it's the underbelly of everything humanity has to offer, rolled into one. You know, terrible corporate environments and you know, drugs and violence and sex and all the other great things that we love when we're watching TV.
And really cool cybernetic implants.
Oh yeah, yeah. All the great stuff that we want to see actually happen. I mean, you look at all the sci-fis out there that have been produced over the years, and so many of them struggle to create a world that's very similar to cyberpunk or what we would classify as the future. I mean,
Yeah,
so many sci-fi series or movies push so far into the future in the hope of not having to be tangible within a short period of time, in the hope to, you know, not be judged over the long period of time.
yeah,
But you look at timeless pieces like Blade Runner, you know, that does it so well because they don't focus on the technology. It's just there,
yeah. It's more so the
you know.
human element in the larger.
That's right. And Cyberpunk's no different. The technology's there, and sometimes it's the driving force of the story, but it's not the story.
Yeah,
It's not about the technology. It's about the human life and the soul or the mentality of the people that are involved and how they are reflected upon these technologies. It's yeah, it's a melting pot of all sorts of things. But if we have a look at a little bit of a breakdown of the first episode, we and in the first, let's say, the first 10-15 minutes, we get
yeah.
one of the most exceptional opening introductions to a landscape that I've seen in anime for a while.
It was so gorgeous, man.
Yeah, it was like in these first 10-15 minutes, you say hi to the first character, or your MC, and then you see your other MC, which is the city itself,
Yep.
the place where they reside, and everything in the background. You can't watch this once. You're going to have to watch it a few times because you'll have to watch everything in the background that's happening, zooming by, or, it's amazing the amount of detail and volume that they've crammed into that 16:9 space on the screen. It's
It feels
exciting.
so lived in, like
Mm.
the graffiti, just everything. There's so many nods to all the different other properties. Like I've played the game back when it was released, and the anime has done its job and made me go back to the game again, and I've pumped in another half playthrough, I think, at like 70 hours or something disgusting like that. But just the nice tie-in, actually, you can get the main character's jacket, so his mum's jacket
Nice.
that he ends up adopting when he becomes an edge runner. It was so refreshing to see the punk spirit alive again in like traditional trigger animation, and it was nice to feel like the studio had also been allowed to age up with its audience as well,
Yeah.
because there was no real filter on what they were able to do.
No, they let them. They let them go. It's almost like the studio, because City Project are basically one of the sole producers of this,
Yeah.
which means that they took their own material and they handed it down to Trigger and said, "This is the story we want to make. Where do you guys do what you
You
do, and don't just do what you do, but do it without a filter. Do it in the this environment that we want. You guys
Yeah.
know it. You guys have all played it. You know what it's about." And I'd say that the writers and a lot of the animators, I imagine, and a lot of the producers sunk themselves into this world, if not previously, but during the production.
Yeah, I reckon they would have had to.
Yeah.
You do get to start messaging one of the characters from the anime as well in the the crossover quest line that they put in, but unfortunately it's only like text, so it was pretty low scale
That's okay though.
tie-in, but
That's
it was still nice.
I like it when they do that. I don't need to know the detailed story of this guy you've gone and done a quest for. Having that little bit of info, of an interesting character is a good lead into something more interesting.
Yeah. Um, I like the tiny amounts of detail that they went to, like in the opening, for example. It pretty much, like, if you pay attention to what is happening in that animation, it tells you pretty much the whole story of what's going to happen in that 30-second or minute 30 intro, with an edited version of Franz Ferdinand's This Fire,
Oh,
which
so
had
good.
cut out all the sections where they're talking about burning the city, because Night City is that powerful that no matter what David can do, he is not going to be able to touch the city as a whole.
Yeah.
And from the get go, it's presented to you as a tragedy. It
Mm.
feels like a modernized version of like a Shakespearean play.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Straight from the get go, you're like, nothing good is going to happen here.
don't get attached.
Yeah. 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 Which we should know from previous Trigger stuff. You don't get attached to characters,
And
as they have a habit of tearing your heart out of
there's
your chest.
exceptionally well written as well. Like, it doesn't really do anything spectacularly new, but it does it spectacularly well.
It grasps the nature of the cyberpunk world, and it
Yep.
it runs with. So the fact that they made it essentially, you could have made this a quest in the game. If you take that aspect of it and go, the way they've written this and the way things feel and move, it could easily have been adapted to the game. They have done their job.
Yep.
You know, they've implemented it into the world the right way.
Yeah.
And even with CD Projekt overseeing it, 2 Japanese writers.
Yep.
So there was a story that CD Projekt had released, and they gave that story to Trigger, and their writers took care of it. So the fact that they adopted that they knew how this world was going to work, the language and all the other stuff, it's just phenomenal.
Yep.
It's really, really good. On top of that, look, hats off to the color design and the lighting design in this anime.
Oh, the color
It's
is
people don't talk about
so
this stuff
gorgeous,
enough
and the
because
lighting.
yeah, it is all so beautiful and it is all so handcrafted. There is very little 3D work in here.
I
Um,
mean, it did take them, I think, about 2 years to produce this.
which is
Maybe,
great.
maybe a bit more.
More studios should do it.
Oh, for sure.
If they're allowed to, you know, they've clearly been given the money and allowed to run the studio without those heavy receding budgets that they do with their other titles.
And the
Um,
crunch, hopefully.
yeah. Well, I found that Trigger over the years have been pushing very hard on crowdfunding, you know, funding their own projects, you know, proceeding in their own space and time instead
Yeah,
of
true.
crunching under the numbers. And it shows their
I
animation
forgot.
quality is just astounding.
I forgot that they had the Patreon
Hmm.
and stuff like that.
That's right. They got a Patreon where you can go on and watch their animators sketch and do all sorts of stuff. It's really cool stuff. Um, it's great to see that a studio is taking that sort of step out of the corporate realm and making it a
Yeah.
little bit more personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gonna switch to fangirl mode. Who's your favorite character,
My favorite character.
and why is it Rebecca?
I was going to say Doc, but uh, look,
Have
I
you've met Rebecca by now, haven't you? Episode 2.
I'm having trouble with names.
She's
Which ones?
the one with the ponytails, pigtails, I should say. Very pastel, like almost like a Harley Quinn sort of design.
No,
Or
no, I
no?
don't think so.
Have you met? You would have met Lucy though. The the girl,
There's so
the
many.
girl.
Oh yeah, yeah, the one with the short crop hair
Yeah, yeah,
that he meets on the train.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Oh,
okay. Where are you up to? Have you met the Edge Runner gang?
no, she's only just taking him to the moon and
Oh,
put
okay.
like an edge runner on the back of his jacket and it's
S-
that far back.
Okay, so you've only pretty much met the two main characters,
Yeah,
excluding the city.
yeah, yeah. And to give
Okay.
people an understanding, you know, I've only watched these 2 episodes, which are clearly such a short period of the story, but I am recommending it 100% to anybody who is of legal age to watch something like this.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal and very. It does not hold anything back.
No, no, both in the sense of violence and sex and drugs. This thing is, yeah, no holds barred,
It
which is
it
great.
might look very fun for all ages, but it gets very uh yeah, very intense very quickly.
Just watch the first 2 minutes of the first episode.
Oh yeah, that's right.
If you
Yeah,
feel uncomfortable in those first 2 minutes of the episode, don't
I
watch
did
anymore.
I did forget that the brain dance at the start where he's just mowing down police
Yeah,
and
completely
yeah,
destroying.
Just turning
and
them into mist.
and then the little bit of extra footage at the end there as well that he gives him.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. So if you feel uncomfortable with those first 2 to 5 minutes of the first episode, don't watch anymore because it's
It
just
it
more of that.
it pretty much does give you a good indication of what sort of a ride you're in for.
Yep, yep. So don't let your 12-year-olds watch it,
No.
or even your 14-year-olds. Might be a little bit questionable. 16, I'd let a
it's
16-year-old watch
it
it,
it's
but that's a personal preference.
I think it's definitely in that upper adults or upper maturity level.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
yeah, it's done a really good job of like tying it into the universe, and I hope they do more. I hope they look at doing something else with the studio. It'd be really cool to see more, just Trigger doing more stuff.
that's right. That's right. And for all you older generation people that may be listening out there, it's got very similar vibes to Cyber City Oedo 808 and Police AD, which is the spin off of the Bubblegum Crisis series. Both of those are very similar in that cyberpunk feel and that seinen violence and sexualized nature of the underbelly of the world. So if you've seen those and you've gone, that's really my fancy of anime, then this is definitely up your alley for high quality
It
goods.
was very reminiscent. It gave me the same sort of feeling of watching like 90s OVAs and
That's
um,
right. That's right.
like the bigger
Late
movies
90s,
that they
early
did. Oh,
2000. Yeah,
it
definitely got
like
that vibe.
heads exploding, juiciness going everywhere, eyeballs flying,
Yeah.
just very unfiltered. And then on the flip side, I've been reading through Bleach.
Yeah, to take a step back
um,
into the light realm of manga.
I remember reading or watching the anime for Bleach. It was probably one of the initial anime that I saw that really kind of got me into anime, like the real door opener. Um, that I had to go out of my way to watch
Yeah,
outside of like your Saturday morning cartoons or that sort of stuff. So like I was exposed to Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, and Sailor Moon, like all of the very, I guess, basic for kids, or like those ones that had been very readily adapted.
yeah.
But Bleach was more on like I think Cartoon Network at the time, going back on like Adult Swim.
Could have been. I
In
never
saying
watched.
that,
I never watched the anime myself.
it well, this was also in the wild west of anime, where the only real way you could watch it was by buying the DVDs, which were ridiculously expensive, still pretty pricey,
Hmm.
um, or illegally streaming because there was no streaming service for them at the time.
No,
Uh,
not back then.
that or you had to then watch it on TV, like the plebeians that you were.
Yeah,
So you had to like schedule it in and whatnot. But anyway, um, watched it way back when it was initially airing, sort of thing, and really enjoyed it up until they started throwing filler arcs in between arcs and just really bad practices that they should have stopped a lot earlier. Like the amount of manga material that they had to kind of flesh out of, they really went all in on like four properties and just weekly released regardless if they
yeah.
had source material. It was pretty bad, and I'm glad they don't do that anymore.
Who's the studio behind it?
I actually don't know. the point that I was getting at is
Yeah.
that the Bleach anime was, it was not bad, but it was nowhere near the standard that the manga has. I'm like 30 chapters in, and just the tone is different. It it feels so. It does it.
It's darker.
It, it
It
is,
is.
but it also doesn't take itself that seriously. So it's darker, but it loses its edginess.
Yeah, yeah, no, you're not wrong. It's a shonen. At heart, it's still a shonen.
Yeah.
And if it took itself too serious, I think it would have lost readers back then.
It actually, and I know that it's probably because they came out around the same time, but it's making me feel the same way as when I was reading Siren. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah,
very similar sort of shonen around the same early 2000s era.
yeah, definitely.
And it was Studio Piero.
Okay, yep.
Yeah, they did Naruto and Yu Yu Hakusho as well.
Yeah.
Oh, and GTO as well.
Wow, that's actually sort of interesting.
Hmm.
Man, the style in there is so different. They must have put a bit more effort
And
into GTO.
now they do Black Clover and Boruto. The like I think the
Yeah,
two big ones at the moment.
poor
Uh,
Boruto. He's getting
they do a
slammed.
lot. And they're coming back to do the 1,000 Year Blood War, the new
Yeah.
Bleach series that's coming the next month, the same month, time as Chainsaw Man, actually.
Good luck.
Yeah. Uh,
Uh,
oh, and
which is
they
what I imagine has sparked you to come back and start reading.
I
A
mean,
bit
I
of
wanted
Bleach.
to kind of give Bleach another shot. And I have heard that the manga is quite considerably better than the anime. And I never did finish it. And yeah, with the anime getting all the hype of it coming back, I was like, oh, 1,000 Year Blood War sounds cool. What's
Hmm.
that about?
I
So I
don't know.
decided, yeah, I'm gonna catch up. And it's finished, right? Or did he bring it back?
I believe he finished the manga series.
I know that they did like
Um,
a special one shot where he looks all aged up.
hmm, that would make sense. I admittedly, I think I stopped around 130 ish, for a particular reason, mainly because that was the maximum amount of chapters that were available to me at the time.
Okay.
So that's when I was reading it. I was reading it when they were, way back in 130. And like you, availability of said items were not the easiest things to obtain. And you were relying on fan translation and stuff like that to actually read from a week to week basis. So I kind of stopped reading just because it's it it started
So
cycling back at that point. It started cycling back around. Um, it
the
started going,
74 volumes.
yeah,
600
yeah, like
686. There
yeah,
we go.
yeah,
Sorry, continue.
yeah. I just found it was just doing the standard shonen cycle, which is get power up to defeat the bad guy, new bad guy needs more power ups, gets power ups, defeats the bad guy. It just goes through that same cycle again.
Doing the whole
Um,
we've said all we've came to say, but the
yeah,
editors won't let us end.
yeah, yeah. It's too popular to finish now.
Too big to fail. Um, honestly, that's what it kind of felt like with like I don't think I finished Naruto.
No, I struggled with that as well.
Like I haven't finished One Piece.
Will you ever?
For obvious reasons. Oh man, actually though,
Segue.
we might finally be learning what the heck devil fruits are like over 1,000 chapters in.
So the pivotal
Hey!
component of the entire comic is only just being explained now.
There's also Haki, which is also not fully explained, but yeah, it just goes to show that you don't need to give the readers any information.
If your characters
Um,
are interesting enough and the stories are fun, people will keep coming back,
that's right.
regardless of how ridiculous or unexplained things are. And sometimes things are better unexplained. Sometimes you don't need to explain them because explaining them just actually ruins the fun.
Or you can over-explain. That's also pretty bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm excited. We're finally there's been a scientist that's been name dropped from like the early chapters of like I don't know 200 and something.
I'm calling it aliens did it.
Well, the weird thing is, right, is that all through the series when this old man's been name dropped, he's been that, an old man. So we get a face reveal finally, and it's a cute waifu. And so nobody really knows what's going on at the moment, and One Piece is on a break next week, so
Nobody will.
yay. He is so good with his cliffhangers. He's gotten real good. Mainly because he gets that 1 week off a month. So he's learned how to do like the real good cliffhangers that want you to
Come back
leaving
and
you
want
hanging.
more.
That's right.
Good work, guy.
That's right. Anyway, I'm glad I got that off my chest. I just, dude, it's nice to finally kind of have Wano over and that we're going on a new adventure. It's like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
And we're pretty much already in a new arc because the crew's been split up. So
how do we start a new arc? Divide everyone.
that's right. I mean, it works.
Yeah. That's okay.
But
I mean, you can't expect everyone to hang out all together all the time. So
I mean, the crew's like 10 people strong now. So, and we also really need a bit of spotlighting on a couple of the newer members as well. So it makes sense to split it up. So that way you're getting, and that way Oda can flip between an A and a B plot.
Yeah.
He's a
people what they want.
Formulaic wise, he's got that shit down.
Yeah, he knows how to drip feed the fan. He's great. Great. That's master storytelling. You know, that's how you keep people coming back for more.
Yeah, for over 1,000 chapters and selling over like ridiculous amounts of money. Like in ticket sales and manga sales and other merch. It's crazy.
I'm sure Shueisha love him. They would coat him in gold if they could to preserve him.
Speaking of, in his hometown, he has life-size gold statues of like all the Straw Hat
Did you hear
crew.
about this?
Yeah, they look amazing.
Is there not a statue of him somewhere as well?
Don't know about that, but yeah, I think they've got.
I guess that's not Oda. That's not Oda, is it? That's not his kind of gig. He's a bit too mellow for that.
I don't think they've got the newest Straw Hat statue wise, but I think they've got the other 9.
It's crazy cool.
Yeah. The cutest one is probably the Chopper because it's tiny, and the Brook one is like 6 foot tall because he's a tall skeleton man.
Oh, so it's actual size. Nice.
Oh yeah, man, is huge. And if they do Jinbei, the final, well, the most recent Straw Hat, that's gonna be a big statue. He's a big boy. Like he's a fish man, so he's quite large because he's like a shark man.
Oh, nice! Like way back.
Yeah.
Shark man. Yeah.
Like that, but he's more of like a I think it's judo almost. It's like an interpretation of like a martial arts that it's Fishman karate, but he seems to focus more like on the judo side of things. I think I don't know. I'm
Yeah, he's
talking out
got
my
grappling
ass.
at the throw in.
Yeah,
Maybe, but
yeah,
so's Oda. So,
yeah. True.
Fishman doing fine.
Um,
Um,
yeah, man.
Speaking of weeklies, is there any other weeklies you want to mention?
I mean, apart from the obvious of Chainsaw Man and Dandadan.
Yeah. I would just quickly note that Sakamoto's starting to ramp up again.
Oh,
That
actually,
school
yeah.
arc was starting to get really stale, and I was starting to lose a little bit of faith, but it's now kicking back up
Nah.
again, and it's
The
nice to
the
see some action
the
dropping in.
reveal of the database was pretty good. I
Yeah,
did.
yeah, that was good.
I knew it
I
wasn't
kind
going to
of
be
I had
something.
the feeling, yeah,
Yeah,
that it wasn't
like
going to be the
going into it, I'm like,
normal.
this isn't going to be norm, but I
Yeah,
didn't quite know where it was going, and I really liked the reveal. It was really well done.
yeah, it's good. It's good. I cannot wait for the next chapter to see the old lady versus the film guy.
Mm.
That's gonna be really interesting. So,
And she
uh,
seems pretty incredible herself. So, and I feel like
well,
she's gonna
apparently
lose, which is
she could
gonna
take
like
down
set some high
Sakamoto though.
stakes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but that was in her prime, really, when you think about it. So,
Akane Banashi actually.
yeah,
Um, I really liked what they did with. I think I understand it a little bit more. So the school of Arasaka. So he's the head. Is that correct?
yes,
And the one that she's training under at the moment is like one of his disciples,
students. Yes, that's correct. So
or
he
or were they
learned under
both?
Arasaka. No,
Because
no, I
I'm under the
believe.
impression that the Arasaka, because it's like an adoption thing almost,
Hmm.
and you inherit the name. Did he inherit the school and the name, and were they both kind of like learning at the same time? Because they seem to be around the same age.
I thought he was a bit older.
I'm not sure. They haven't really gone into the relationship
No,
between the two, and I feel like we're
yeah,
about to
because
get that.
yeah, no, he's at this meeting, right? He's at this meeting of all the heads of schools,
Hmm.
but Arasaka's not. So
Yeah, I'm
what's
a little bit
yeah,
unclear as to like the dynamic there. And clearly there's some sort of rivalry going on between them, and that's what her dad ended up paying with, because you end up finding out that everybody else went off and joined other schools and became professional. What's the Shinoichi?
yeah,
Yeah, they got their Shinoichi. They passed their
yeah,
exams in through the other schools.
yeah.
But her dad's resolve, because it was not just the art, but it was the art the way that Arasaka, his mentor, not the head of the school, um, portrayed that art, and he wanted to continue that on. And if he couldn't do it under that, under his that teacher, then he wouldn't do it at all. Which I thought was very nice and sincere from a storytelling perspective. But
Yeah.
also, what the hell, man?
Super arrogant. It's uh, yeah, I get. I mean, he gave up. His dream was to study under Arasaka, and that's
Yeah,
if he couldn't achieve that dream, then time to stop is
yeah,
essentially what how he saw it. Um, because in the end, it wasn't all of Rokugo that he wanted; it was just that one.
yeah. It was very interesting, and I want to learn more about like her father and the way that everything kind of ties together. It's a very interesting mystery at the moment for me.
I
I
don't
think,
know. I feel like her father was just really focused on one thing, couldn't see the bigger picture, and that's why he didn't go to a different school because
yeah,
he just wanted
I
that.
yeah, I still also can't fathom why it was so necessary for him to expel everybody in the school. Like, isn't it enough for them to just fail their Shinichi exams? Like,
No, he was, as he said, he was trying to fire it up. He was trying to make an example. He was trying to tell them that not just the students. He wasn't just telling the students. He's telling the teachers who were teaching them that their standards are not good enough.
yeah,
If you keep going down this path, everything is going to die. And that was his perspective, not a joint perspective. That was specifically his, and
yeah,
his understanding of what Rokugan should be. It it's a shame that he took that out on those people,
yeah.
but that's just who he is.
It's it's interesting, and I want to know more about him.
I hope they do drop down a bit of a backstory tunnel with him because
Yeah,
I'd like to understand why he thinks he's
God's
the bee's
gift.
knees. Yeah,
Yeah,
because from everybody else's perspective, he's just another professional Rokugo.
yeah. And I mean, we haven't seen him perform at all.
No,
So we're just
yeah,
going off everybody else's word that he's the shit.
that's right. Which he may be. You know, masters aren't masters for no reason.
True,
They tend to be
valid.
the
But he
shit.
he might not have like performed in a
Aged well.
while. And yeah, he could have gotten rusty, you know,
Yeah.
arrogant.
It'll be
But yeah,
interesting to see where this time skip takes us.
are we getting a time skip?
You're not. You wouldn't happen to be a chapter behind, would you?
Maybe. I don't know.
The last 3 pages of the most recent chapter is a time skip. Or
I
maybe
don't
you
know
just.
if I. I think I am a chapter behind. Oh yeah, it says
Aha!
8 months
Okay.
later.
Yes.
I think I started reading it, but I don't think I finished it, and that's why it's
Okay.
okay. Whoops, my bad.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. All right.
Got so many on your plate. It's
I
bound to
know.
happen.
I do like how Ginka and Luna and Tokyo Demon Bride story is shaping out. We're still pretty early in both. I
Yeah.
think I kind of know
I
where both are going. I
I feel
feel
like
sorry.
the Tokyo Bride is looking to fill a gap that they don't currently have stock in, which is that sort of shonen comedy, romantic comedy kind of platform. They don't have that at the moment.
Which watch?
Yeah, sort of.
I feel like that's probably the closest that you
It probably would
I would
be. Yeah,
compare it to. They're both pretty similar.
yeah,
Now that I
yeah.
think
In a
about
sense.
it, they both focus on a young boy and a young girl who promised to marry each other back when they were kids, and now that they're
And look,
relatively all of
let's just
age,
say how many romantic comedies start off like that? It's like
both tied
80%.
heavily into Japanese folklore.
Yeah. Oh,
The
you know.
the current chapter of Tokyo Demon Bride, he might not be human. He caught a goddamn washing machine on his back.
Well, he's just a tough guy, you know. He's been working hard for
See,
3
even the
years.
yokai was all like, "You human,
Mm.
bro?"
What's going going on here?
um,
Yeah, look, you're right. It's just it's a bit samey for me at the moment.
I am enjoying it. I like the art style. I like the
Oh, beautiful
concept.
art, definitely.
And I really like the designs of the characters.
I
But
really like the home dynamic.
yeah,
The
so
fact that
far,
they're not his sisters, and the fact that it's more of a
found
found
family.
family
Yeah,
is really interesting to me.
yeah.
I like that.
Especially, I want to know the act. Like, if they're not blood related, that's fine. I want to know the connection though.
How did this pan out? Yeah,
How did this happen? And because like it sounds like that they're all helping the MC pay off his father's debt.
yeah.
And why would they be doing that if like what sort of connection they had to like the whole story? I want
It's
to know.
almost
Give
as
me
if they should have done like the first 3 issues should have been covering that story of the MC and how he got there and how he grew up with
they,
these
they've
3
kind
girls.
of pushed the other girls to the side. Like we haven't seen
Yeah,
them since like chapter 2.
I know, and it's a real shame because I thought they were very interesting characters, and I know we're meant to be getting to know the 2 main characters who are the romantic connection, but I
Well,
wanna
it
see the others.
feels like they're setting up the premise for the fights to happen with his blood and them about
This
to
is this is how we
take
explain
on.
how things happen, and this
Yeah,
is how my power works and stuff like that.
and then
Yeah,
they
you're
go
basically
and they're going into like yokai hunting almost for money to
mm,
stop. Yeah,
mm.
so far, but like between the two new series, I do feel like Ginka and Luna is doing a better job
It's more
of
original.
it's and the pacing.
Yeah,
I feel I don't know, like they're both good, but I feel like Ginka and Luna is set up what it's going to be doing and what it's going to be doing for the next X amount of chapters in less time than Tokyo Demon Bride has.
yeah. Because it
And
feels like
while
Demon Bride isn't a direction.
it
They're
feels like we
setting
know
stuff
more
up.
about we know more about the characters and the world than we do Ginka and Luna, but it's that mystery. We don't really need to know the all of that stuff straight up.
That's right.
I,
Don't explain stuff.
it's a
We were
it's a
just talking
balance.
about this.
Well, I feel it's a balancing act, right?
Yeah,
And for a serialized weekly, I feel like you need to set up your premise and what you're looking at doing for your run. If you
mm,
don't have a clear goal, that's when you start losing. People start losing interest.
yeah,
Ginka and Luna pretty much set up their goal in chapter 1.
yeah.
Then
Find body,
can
find bad guy.
go on an adventure.
Yes,
While Tokyo Demon Bride has done pretty much the same thing, where she rocks up and we're getting married. It hasn't felt as fluid.
it's because you've seen it 1,000 times already. It's not
Yeah,
it's not an original premise,
I
and
think it's
until
because
they
I'm
step
looking
out of
for
that
its gimmick.
bounds,
Yeah,
yeah, you're looking for that thing, that individuality that's, separates it from all
it's
the
like
other
everything that
things
I'm
that have done
looking
the
at's
same.
really nice, but what's your substance?
Hmm, hmm. It's all pretty.
It's like I'm at a buffet and I'm looking at it and I'm like, everything looks real good. Can I start eating now?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
So
yeah.
give us some meaty story. Give us yeah, some more character
Getting
development.
getting a little bit bored of the elusive samurai at the moment, but I kind of do go through spurts of that, and I feel like it reads better for me if I leave it for a bit and bank
Yeah,
up a few chapters.
that's like my
Um,
relationship with jujitsu. I got about 3 or 4 issues sitting there.
yeah, I feel that the last few chapters have been really nice.
Yeah, well,
It,
I'll enjoy those when I do.
it because we're focusing on Maki again, and
Oh, nice.
it feels like the pacing has just sped up. It's
Hmm.
like I watched a video recently by Sufferance, another anime YouTuber, who was talking about the two different fights in Jujutsu and the two very different types of power scaling that they have going on in the series, where you've got your prodigies like Gojo, Megumi, um, that are born with like this amazing power, and they then work to understand it. Their fights are more a technical showing of like, oh, look at how cool our powers are, whereas characters like Yuji, Maki, and who was the other one? There was
Oh, we haven't
I
seen
can't
them
remember.
for ages.
I know,
Yeah. Where did
but
Axe
like
Girl go? We've lost Axe Girl. Or
she's
Hammer
still
Girl, sorry.
potentially
Hammer Girl.
dead.
Oh, yeah.
But their fights are more character focused, and it's really interesting taking a look back where you've got the guy that does the pachinko um, realm, where it was just so much technical information on his
That almost killed me reading that. Really killed me.
then but then like you had so much information being crammed into this fight that like spanned 20 chapters or something, and now we've gone to like Maki for like 4 chapters, maybe a bit longer now actually, and it just feels like everything's going so much faster.
Yeah, because she
um
just pummels crap. You know her power.
my
She doesn't
god.
have one. She just kills
She
stuff.
punched good. um
Pretty much.
well, she still has this little bit of return to Maki. She has still has room to grow, so we're getting more information on what's going on with her, and we just got two random uh sorcerers from the past, one that looks like a kappa that's obsessed with sumo wrestling, and another one who's just some random old Japanese dude who's obsessed with katanas. And they both just rock up and they just start screaming sumo and katana, and man, it is the most random shit.
He's
But
lost the plot, surely enough.
I honestly, two of the best characters I've seen in a while, and they just so organically wove themselves into the story. Mwah, mwah. The last like 5 to 6 chapters have just been so good.
Okay. Okay,
It's
I'll
been
have to pick it up
refreshing.
now.
No, it's good. Now would be probably a good time to pick it up again.
Yeah.
Catch up and then go on your little hiatus of reading it again.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Let it
Jujutsu's been pretty fun lately, actually.
yeah.
Um, and it's been a little bit of a nice change of pace because that last fight with Hikari was a bit hard to get through. Like you said, there was a lot going on there.
Yeah. And it just went forever. So long.
I feel like it would definitely read better in one go, sort of
Didn't
thing.
they just end up being buddies in the end?
um, kind of. He beat him and then made him an offer. But yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. After all
and then
that, it's
and
just like this is so anticlimactic.
it was pretty good. I did enjoy that actually. I forgot. And then he's like, "Oh, they make the deal. He accepts." And then he asks him a question about the deal, and the guy's all like, "I don't know." And then he's like, "What have I done?" Actually, flicking over to the other more seinen series of Jump at the moment, I'm getting a little bit nervous about Aliens Area. It feels like it's accelerated in that dangerous area of potentially getting the axe.
I don't know. I just feel like they're actually heading in a direction. That's possibly what it is. Before it was Like, you're a part of a secret society now. But now they're introducing the overarching bad guy
Well,
or people.
yes, but they had also kind of felt like they were setting up for the exam, and then just kind of, I don't know if it was planned or not, but then they just skipped over it. They did a little.
Well,
Um,
I'm kind of happy they did.
I am,
I didn't.
but
I,
I
yeah, I know.
admittedly,
I can see where you're coming from.
I'm also glad that they did. I'm just a little bit nervous because I've
I
got
think they're
axe
doing it more
anxiety.
often. I think they're doing it more often because people are sick of seeing the "how did I get here" process when we just want to see the story and the characters develop and push along. I don't
Yeah,
care how they got their powers unless their powers are integral to the storyline in some way. It
yeah,
I don't think it's really necessary. So just saying, yeah, I passed my exam, that's all I need. I'm good.
yeah.
Even
Just
if you had a
nervous.
few little, 4 or 5 panels that, gave a joking sort of series of sequences to show him going through his process, would be fun. But otherwise, yeah, just doing that. They are pushing quite quickly, but they're also introducing a lot of new characters.
Yeah.
So I feel like they wouldn't do that and set up something that is as big as what they're talking about without
Uh,
being
Unless this is
pre-planned.
like the, hey guys, you've got 15 more chapters and then you're done. So wrap it
Yeah,
up
maybe. Yeah, let's
because
let's let's start taking this arc towards a more aggressive pace and see where it goes, which would be a real shame because
I
I
am
wasn't sure about it
enjoying it so
initially,
much.
but the
Oh,
world that they're
it's so
creating and the
good.
characters
It's
are really enjoyable.
it's much more
Uh,
mature, and it feels like the older title that they needed in Shonen Jump. Like
yeah,
that
where it's
bordering sort
adult,
of
but
age.
it's not edgy teen drama
Yeah.
adult. It's just adult. It's just a good story that you wouldn't expect kids to read.
Yeah.
That's what we mean by adult.
Well, I would say
More
that
so
it
than anything
fits
else.
nicely in that like YA, like young adult fiction.
Yeah, definitely that 16 to 24 sort of range
Yeah.
where they the characters are pretty identifiable. He's someone who's down on his luck, who's trying to take jobs where he can and look after his siblings, which we haven't seen for like 4 or 5 chapters now.
They're
um
unimportant.
True, this is true. And they've just stepped into some. Look, the amount of information they released in that last couple of chapters is enormous.
That's why I'm
um
nervous.
Yeah, it
Like
was a
that
big info dump.
that chapter up until like we got introduced to the other, the antagonists, the guy that lit
Mm.
the other people, like the aliens and the woman, on fire. Shortly at like the chapter after that, where it was, hey, pass the exam, and then we're going straight into this, and oh hey, look, it's the alien that she helped free. It was like, okay, this is going very fast all of a sudden.
Oh yeah, by the way, I got my
and we
memories back. That's
and
what
we
got me concerned.
and we skipped 6 months. I'm like, okay. Yeah, actually, that
Yeah,
was the other big
it
one,
did
was
push
the
pretty fast.
my memories of the incident. And I my family was members of the
Yeah,
antagonists of the series. I'm like, okay, this is,
yeah.
mm,
They
please
dropped that
don't
a
end.
little too quickly. And I wish they had taken their time a little bit more with that because it would
Yeah,
have been a good reveal. A proper reveal would have been better. But now you got me worried.
I know, right? I read that
God
like
damn
I
it.
think it was the last 2 chapters, and I was like, no, 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 no. And
Yeah.
yeah. So now that I've given you axe anxiety,
Thank you. Thank you.
you're welcome, man. I know. It's sad though, like that it's gotten to a point where there's a trend, and we can start
Yeah.
to see that trend pick up in the storytelling, which can drastically change the pacing and the direction of where the creator wanted to go, just to give like a fulfilling ending to.
Which is crap because it makes it more unpopular because they're like, "Oh, now they're not doing the story properly." It's just
Yeah,
it's reversing all the work that they've done,
yeah,
and it's a shame that a publisher can't see that. It's a
yeah.
shame that they can't foretell that, "Oh, okay, it wasn't super popular in the first, 20 chapters, but maybe by chapter 40, it's the next big thing." They don't
I
give it
think
that room to breathe.
you get 6 months, I think, and I think that's about it.
Yeah.
About 30 chapters to prove yourself, and then. So not only do you
Yeah.
have to like get in the door, you then have to continue proving yourself. Otherwise,
I wonder
sorry.
what the Tunkaban sales would be like for it. I wonder if have they
um,
done one yet? Or are they just not?
I'm not sure actually.
Um,
A couple that I am still reading that are non-jump titles. Uh, Gachia Kuta has actually done really well sales wise, and will be getting an English Tunkerban release apparently soon.
okay.
It's
Well,
pretty good.
hopefully the sales will change that. But, chances are they're going to be a pain in the bum and exit, which I hate. I've just
I hope they
realized that.
don't. I want them to give Aliens Area more of a go.
Yeah, because it's really interesting, and I think it's a title that's very different to everything else that they have at the moment, in the sense of
Well, I mean,
the fact that it's
Dan,
sci-fi. It's,
yeah, and they
yeah,
don't
Dan
have
to Dan
anything sci-fi. Dan to Dan's not in the book though.
in the no, because it's plus. But I'm just looking that
It's plus
the first Tankaban's actually hitting us on the 11th of this month.
for Aliens Area.
No, Dan to Dan.
Oh, for Dan to Dan, yes.
Yeah, yeah. No Aliens Area. No, I can't see anything in
Yeah,
relation
no,
to
I
that for
was
Australian
gonna be
release.
a bit confused. That would be very early.
Sorry.
Um,
I only
I
just
think we're
sort of noticed
we're
that.
only just getting some of the Tankerbans for some series that have already been cancelled, like months ago.
Yeah, yeah.
We get our books very late.
We do, unfortunately. It takes so long for stuff to get to us. It's easier to order them from overseas than it is to buy them locally, which is a shame,
Wait for
considering we're
the
so much
official
closer.
release.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Um,
speaking of official releases, I saw something about Topoki.
oh
Tokoki?
really?
Yeah,
The
they said
original
they were
Sim.
gonna. Yeah, they're gonna release it in a 2 Tankaban special edition pack with a sleeve and all that sort of stuff, which would be really nice.
Mm,
I'd be
that
down for
would be
that.
so good. That was such a good self-contained little story.
Yes, they need to do more of those.
Yeah.
More of those little
Um,
short stories.
I mean, you could have totally done Earthchild as like a one Tankerban, fleshed out that first pilot a little bit, and done it as like a tunk. Would have been great.
Yeah, I would have been so happy if they'd actually just really took their time and slowed down that first issue and made it, just one Tankobon would have been a great story.
I just realized as well that it's been 2 months since we've had a new Ruri Dragon as well. So I hope that the mangaka is doing well.
Oh, yeah, that's a shame.
Yeah,
I don't think
no,
it'll be
still on
going
hiatus.
anywhere. Its popularity is too high, and the support for the mangaka is too high. I don't think it'll go anywhere.
Yeah, I haven't heard any news on it though, so hopefully Masaki is doing all right. Because I think it was health issues, and that's pretty much all the information that was released.
Yeah. Speaking
I
of which,
think
have we had any more Stage S? We've had some more Stage S though, so they're back in
No,
action.
have we? Have we?
Pretty sure. Pretty sure we have.
I think you might be wrong, and I
Might
hope
be wrong.
I am. No, it's still on hiatus.
Oh,
It's been about a month as well.
okay.
So yeah, hopefully they're doing okay too.
It's been a really long time since Trojan X as well. Man,
He does have a
as much as
flexible schedule though.
I know they all seem to be quite flexible at the moment, but it's killing me. All the stuff I want to read, it's taken so long.
Well, maybe it's maybe you should bust out one that's already completed.
Yeah, well, I'm looking for new old things.
New old things, yeah.
New old things to look into. Not stuff that's been axed, something that's actually been completed would be nice. Yeah. I'll have to keep looking.
I think
every time I pick up a series, I always get disappointed. Gets axed.
I feel like the last one that I read that was completed was actually Siren. I think everything else that I've read since is just ongoing, and it's just kept adding to the pile.
Yeah.
I think Bleach is like my most recent since Siren, and that was like what 2 years ago now.
I keep jumping back to Land of Lustrous and reading that, which is super interesting.
Is it completed?
No, it's ongoing.
Or is it ongoing? Oh,
yeah.
geez, okay.
Yeah. It's done by Kodansha, so they release volume instead of weekly. So he just releases on whatever schedule he feels like it, because it has some insane popularity. There's like massive support for it online.
Yeah. I don't know how true this is, but I've always seen like a bit of an overlap between Land of the Lustrous and Steven Universe fans. I feel like they're
that's understandable.
Kind of similar.
Drawn to shiny things, probably.
Yeah.
Gems. They're actually nothing alike.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The reason that they may be drawn to it is because of its very gender neutral environment.
Yeah.
It's not what you expect it to be. It's such a weird mix, and everybody refers to each other as him and he, but they all look like girls, and none of them have genitals, and they're all made out of crystals.
Yeah, that's about all I know about it too.
Yeah, and that's about all I can say without sort of breaking some of the story down. And that's a big conversation because there's a lot of story to go through. But basically, it's a big giant line of sadness. Kind of, I'm starting to believe that it's actually a it's a villain backstory, because I feel
Hmm.
like the MC is encroaching on environment, like the level of information they have and the ideals that they have would very easily be taken as the villain in a traditional comic. But
Right.
they're the main character. So wait a minute. So are they the villain, or is the person that they're saying is the villain is the villain? So it's a very different sort of perspective
Yeah.
on, who the bad guy is, because there is no distinct bad guy. Everything that happens in there happens for the reason, and there's a cycle of how it happens. So there's no bad guy to say, this or that. There's only rules, and this is what happens, this is what doesn't happen. But
Right.
the MC then starts to question, who made these rules? Why are we following these rules? Do we have to follow these rules? Do I have to be who I am? Can I be someone else?
That sounds hella
It's
punk.
it's really, yeah, it's a metamorphosis of someone who doesn't know who they are into someone who becomes very individual versus who they were meant to be. So yeah, punk
Okay.
in some respects, but punk if it was done in the world of, Sailor Moon. everything is
Yeah.
everything is
And in
so
pastel.
pretty, and yeah, and so beautiful that it's just insane. So, and sometimes the characters are really hard to tell apart without the color, because it's a manga, it's all done in black and
Yeah.
white. So, and they're all the same shade of white. So
Well, is that
it
is that part of like what it's meant to also like because they're all meant to be uniform, aren't they?
so they all have uniforms that they wear, but the uniforms are all slightly different.
Okay.
They've all got
Oh,
hair that's different, and
okay.
but they all cover themselves with a powder, which turns them white essentially to protect them from the elements. So their chrysalis and stuff doesn't break down, because they live on an island. It's constantly being pounded by waves
Yeah.
and sea air and stuff like that. So it's just really intricate little things like that you're like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But why would you think of that? It's
Interesting.
not
Okay.
integral. It's not integral to the story. It's
Yeah.
just something they do, and
Just a little bit of flavor.
it doesn't explain it more than, oh, it's just to protect you from the elements. That's but it becomes a part of the story. They're always going back and getting coated in this powder for a particular reason, or being covered in wax to protect them from the ocean. It's yeah,
Yeah.
it's
No,
a
no, no.
fun, weird story.
It sounds like it's got a lot of what I would call in video games flavor text, where it enriches the experience, but you don't really need
Yeah,
to read into it. But if you do, it's there, and it will enhance your experience
yeah. If you want
most
to push
most of the
further
time.
into it, it's the information's there if you want to grab it and run with it.
It's also really nice
It's
cohesive storytelling when they do that and tie everything in. Like
yeah,
like you said, it's not integral to the story, but it's integral to the characters and their day to day. I like that.
yeah, yeah. And because it's not integral
It,
to the story, they don't have to explain it.
yeah.
They don't need to go beyond what the general use is for it. So it's good. I think it's a really clever story writing. It's captured me because the characters are very unique. The world is incredibly unique, with all its sort of Hindu sort of style into it as well, because the
Yeah.
mangaka is actually half Indian, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he has either he's fully Indian, but his parents moved to Japan when he was young, and he grew up with their uh, influences on top of, reading manga. He sort of pushed into that area, so he's quite an interesting fellow, and his styling is really quite unique in the world of manga as well. So anybody out there looking for a new weird title, It's definitely worth picking up.
Cool. Well,
Hmm.
I think that will wrap us up for today. You can catch us again on the 12th and 26th of October for our 21st and 22nd episode. Or just make sure you subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to get notified when we put up our episodes. And you will be in the chat to tell us what to read and whatnot. So, yeah, make sure to comment and like and share us with your friends. And we'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Peace out.
I'm trying to find the video. Okay. All right, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.